y'all, it's Hope at Crafty Hope, and I am continuing to work on the Daisy Yellow ICAD for 2019. I'll have information about Daisy Yellow and links below in the description box. But basically, you're given prompts and you alter an index card. Now, I'm using 4x6 size index card because that's what I had. And so these are all prompts. These are days 13, 14, and 15 in this video. Now, day 13's prompt was balcony. And if you saw day 12's, you know that I really overthought it with some weaving and stuff that kind of, I don't know. And I really did not want to overthink this one. So I started with my favorite thing to do, which is just cover a piece of whatever my substrate is with ephemera. Just collage it on with a glue stick. I'm using an Uhu glue stick, and I'm just taking some scraps and stuff that's on my desk and sticking that on down. Now, if you've seen some of my videos, you know I have a hard time sometimes with collage, especially with the glue stick, because things just want to come up. And so throughout the process, I'll probably be gluing little pieces back down. Once I got my whole card covered with the collage, I took a, what was that? That was a distress crayon in like a dark blue, and just scribbled on my paper. And then wet it with some water, and just to give a little color there. Now, did I say that this is the prompt for this one was balcony? So I put the blue down to kind of echo the sky, and then I've got this hand carved stamp that looks like a cloud, and I'm using some distress ink pad in a blue, probably like peacock feathers, to stamp down that cloud stamp. And then I've got a little piece of it's an old calendar. It's like the sample pictures on the back of the calendar, that it's got an Eiffel Tower on it, and I decided that would be perfect for a balcony view. That's, that's how I'm bringing balcony in here, because that is the view I would like to have, is, of just the Eiffel Tower and the sky. So I glued that little image down, and I'm going around it with just a cheap O pen. I love that pen. It's from the Dollar Tree, and I like that it's always kind of juicy, and then if I hit it with a little bit of water, it'll blend a little bit. So that's what I did. And I've got a Neo Color 2 crayon here, and I am just coloring in some of those clouds with a little bit of white, just to make them stand out a little bit more. It's not much to it there. I think what am I going to do? I was playing with the idea of adding some words, and so I pull out, and this is the hardest part for me, is finding a sentiment that works. And you see, I picked it up, I was like, no, and then I was like, oh, we'll just do it. And so it says, today is full of possibilities, and that's just one of the Tim Holtz stickers. And I go around it with that black ink pen again, and then I'm using just a black ink pad to go around the outside of the card and frame it up. And that was it, guys. Like I said, I didn't want to overthink this one. And it really kind of worked out. So here's a couple views of it before we get on to card number 14. Card 14 had the prompt of thread. So I have that ball of black thread sitting there. Whenever I sew, I end up, all the little scraps I cut off and all of that I tend to save. And that was just thrown on my desk. So as soon as I saw this prompt, I was like, oh, I'm going to use that ball of thread that's over on my desk somehow. But other than that, I had no direction with this card. So what did I do? I did the same thing I did on the last card, which is take some of the scraps and stuff that were on my desk, because I always have lots of paper scraps that I'm trying to clean off. I can never get them all off. And I'm, again, just gluing them all down. And again, throughout the process, you'll probably see me picking up little pieces and gluing them back down. But this is another one that I really just wanted to play with. I had no idea what the end result of this was going to be. So here I am, just sticking stuff down, y'all. And I love just ephemera. Those are all kinds of little things, book pages, and what else is in there? There's a time book thing and pieces from an old catalog, and I like stuff in different languages, a typewritten letter. I don't even know. Just anything I have. I love paper. So, and I love that collaging this down gives me just every time it's a different looking background. So that's where I started with this one. I'm sorry for the ums. All right, once I trimmed everything off with some scissors and I'm checking some of my glue and gluing that back down, I decide to grab some Dino Wakley paint. I'm not sure what, I think that color may be eggplant or something like that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And I forget how far that Dino Wakley paint goes. So it was still nice and wet. So I took a skewer and just kind of scraped into it, just in a back and forth motion with a just a bamboo skewer. And it gave it like some really fun little texture. And then, and again, I don't know what I'm doing. So that is just a water-soluble oil pastel. What are those called? I'm trying to think. Portfolio. I think they're from Crayola. I could be wrong. And I put a little bit of blue down there and scribbled that next to the purple, that plum or eggplant or whatever it is, because those are just two colors I really love together. And in the end, you don't really see a whole lot of that blue because I have all the other things I'm going to add. I decided to add I love yellow for a pop of color. So I've got that bright yellow. That's I think Master's Touch from Hobby Lobby. It's a big kit I got, and I can't think of what that shade is. But it's a bright yellow, and I'm just using a palette knife to kind of scrape that on there because I just wanted touches of that color. It ends up coming through a lot more because it does add such contrast to the page. So once I scrape that on, I decided to dry everything a little bit so nothing gets too messed up from how I've got it. And once that dry, yeah, I guess I had some more stuff sticking up because apparently I suck at gluing. Yeah. And what did I do next? I think I got, yeah, some soft pastels. These are just I don't even know what brand. It's soft pastels I've had, and I never used them enough, but I do love how they blend into things. So I took that orange to add a little bit more of a, I don't know, some more contrast on there, and just kind of put that on there. I tried to work it into some of the scratch marks, I think, but they weren't really deep enough to get in there. But I wanted a little bit, and again, it's not something that really you sticks out and you say, "Hey, there's some orange on there." It just gives a little something. And so there's my thread. I'm trying to figure out where I want it. I kind of left that space off to the left there for it. And I'm using this big mechanical pencil. I like that it blends a little. So I put a couple of marks and blended it. And I've got this dot stamp there. Just add a little texture with some black ink that I'm just adding layers of texture. And I just don't do that enough. Add more, other than my own stamps, add just layers and layers like I am in this one. And then there's I think that's a Bow Bunny stamp that's got like some cross hatches on it. And again, I'm just trying to add some more texture in there because all I've got really is just some paint and color and stuff. So, and that's fine. This is a lot of playing after some of the overthought cards I've done in the past. And I grabbed this bucket that's got what I consider, I don't know, they're focals, but anyway, and it's smaller things. I've got one with larger pieces, but for the ICADs, this little bucket is perfect. And I pull out these three circles. Well, they're there. These three circles that I had used some under paper and embossed these circles on it, and then cut them out. And they make great little things to just add something, And so one of them had like a really dark black section of it, and I didn't like that on top of the black thread. It kind of just disappeared. So I took a what are they called? I'm reaching over here in my bucket to see. Molotov, in a bright yellow, and put some dots right there on that. And then I'm using some gel medium to glue all that down, since those circles are cardstock, and that thread, needed something more than just a glue stick to stick down. So I'm going to add a little weight to it by putting, I put several different things on there, and I'm adding just a smidge of weight while I'm looking to see if I can find some kind of phrase. And I looked through some stickers, and then I pulled out some large print text from a book. And this, I just kind of grabbed the first thing that I saw that caught my eye, and this one said they only needed to think, and which is funny because I was trying not to think too much about this and not overthink it. So I thought that was kind of funny that I put that on this card, that I was trying not to overthink. I stuck it down with the Uhu, and it was done. And I love this card, y'all. I don't even know. It just flew together, grabbing stuff that was on my desk and all of that. So I hope you like it too. This last card is card 15, and the prompt was storm. And I had kind of a vague idea for this one, but I really let it evolve kind of organically. Now, I started by putting down just some dictionary paper, just instead of collaging this time, that's just a whole big piece of dictionary paper that I put down. And then I'm trimming away the excess by tearing it, just using a straight edge to tear, and that gives me a little bit of a rough edge around the outside of this card. And I'd selected some different shades of acrylic paint, a white, a gray, a black, and then one of my favorite colors, which is a midnight blue. And I tried at first by just spreading the white around with the paintbrush, and that just wasn't working for me, so I used a card instead to scrape it kind of around. I wanted this to be kind of organic as possible, and then I used a big paintbrush to spread some of the light gray around. The prompt storm, at the time when I made this, there had been all kinds of flooding in the Midwest, and I think Ohio was hit pretty hard with tornadoes and some flooding and all of that, and so that's what I had on my brain. And I added that midnight blue on top of the gray, and all of this, I'm not drying between coats. I love that midnight blue. I used some water to spread it out, and then added a little more of that gray to help blend it. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of the black and put it off the side, and again use that big fat brush to just kind of spread it out. And I don't know, I love how that just evolved. Now I had this piece of, it's like a receipt or something that somebody had written on the back of at some point, long ago. I am just cutting out little houses, little pink houses. There's a John Mellencamp song called Little Pink Houses, and that's what this made me think of. And so I am just cutting little house shapes out to stick on this card, to kind of just signify all the people that were devastated by these storms that happened so recently. And yeah, I don't know, something just struck me with it. So I am sticking those down with just the Uhu glue stick. That's the only adhesive I think I used in this whole card, because I'm just using layers of paper and paint for it. It's one of my simpler cards, but really one that is, I don't know, has stricken me the most. So once I get all those down, I'm just kind of playing with it. I went around each of the houses with just a pencil, just to let them stand out just a smidge, give them some shadow. And it just kind of worked. And from there, I start playing with the idea. I'm thinking on it, and I played with the idea of putting some kind of sentiment down. I took the pink and was gonna, I don't even know what I wrote on that little piece of pink paper there, just in pencil, but I don't remember what it was that I wrote there. And I put it on there, and I hated it, absolutely hated it. Took away so much from what I had done. So I just inked the edges and said I was done. And like I said, it's simple, but I love this. And I hope you've loved these 3 cards. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.